There is a very specific, suffocating silence that drops over a table of friends when the dinner plates are finally cleared away. The conversation lulls, the clinking of silverware stops, someone takes a nervous sip of tap water, and then the waiter approaches. They place that little black leather booklet dead in the center of the table. It lands on the white tablecloth with the gravitational pull of a black hole. Everyone stares at it. Nobody reaches for it. And in that moment, you know exactly what is about to happen. You are about to be financially victimized by the people you call your friends. Welcome to SketchCents. I'm glad you're here because today we need to talk about one of the most common, most infuriating, and most silently destructive financial transactions in modern society. We are talking about the group dinner check. Specifically, we are talking about what happens when you are the careful, budget-conscious, appetizer-only friend, sitting across from the 3 cocktails, a ribeye, and a dessert friend, and someone utters the 5 most terrifying words in the English language. Let's just split it evenly. Let's set the scene because we have all been here. You agreed to go to dinner on a Friday night. You're trying to be social. You want to see your group, but maybe you're saving up for a trip. Maybe you're in between paychecks. Or, honestly, maybe you're just not that hungry. You are an adult. You know how to manage your life. So, you looked at the menu online beforehand. You did the math in your head while you were getting dressed. You thought, okay, the Italian place. Great. I'll get the house salad. Maybe I'll add the grilled chicken if I'm feeling wild. I'll drink water. I am out of here for $22, tip included. Brilliant. I am a financial genius. You arrive at the restaurant, you sit down, you feel completely in control, and immediately your perfectly crafted financial plan is hijacked. Your friend, let's call him Kevin, sits down opposite you. Kevin does not look at the prices on the right side of the menu. Kevin looks at the menu like it is a bucket list he needs to complete before midnight. Before the waiter even has time to introduce himself, Kevin looks around the table and says, "Hey, should we get some apps for the table?" It is the siren song of financial ruin. Before you can politely decline, before you can even open your mouth to say you're saving your appetite, Kevin has ordered a tower of fried calamari, a charcuterie board that costs as much as a used tire, and some artisanal truffle fries. They make their way to the center of the table. You eat exactly 1 fry. Kevin eats half the calamari while telling a story about his golf swing. You are now unwittingly invested in communal squid. Then come the main courses. You stick to your guns. You stay strong. You order the salad. It's $12. You feel a brief wave of pride. But Kevin orders the tomahawk steak. It requires a special knife. It is served on a heavy wooden board. It costs $55. Then we enter the most dangerous phase of the evening, the drinks. We have to pause here because we must talk about the great destroyer of the group check, which is the alcohol multiplier. Alcohol completely breaks the math of a shared meal. Food has a relatively predictable ceiling. Even Kevin can only eat so much steak and calamari. But drinks? A single person can easily consume $100 worth of cocktails in 2 hours without breaking a sweat. You ask the waiter for tap water with lemon. Kevin orders an old-fashioned. Then, 20 minutes later, he orders another one. Then he asks the waiter what the reserve bourbon is and orders a glass of that. You are sitting there, sipping your tap water, doing mental calculus, watching Kevin's bar tab eclipse your entire weekly grocery budget. Fast forward 2 hours. The dessert plates, which Kevin also ordered for the table, have been cleared. The check arrives. The total is $380 for 4 people. You know your portion. You have been auditing this meal in your head since 7:30 p.m. Your salad was $12. The single truffle fry you politely nibbled on is practically a rounding error. You pull out your wallet. You pull out a crisp $20 bill. You are generously covering your food, a solid portion of the tax, a 20% tip, and the emotional labor of watching Kevin chew. You place the 20 on the table. You are ready to go home. And then Kevin, dabbing his mouth with a linen napkin, looking completely satisfied with his life choices, glances at the astronomical number at the bottom of the receipt. He doesn't even blink. He looks around the table and says, "Oh man, math is hard. Let's just throw down 4 cards and split it evenly. Keep it simple." Keep it simple. For who, Kevin? For who is this simple? Suddenly, your $12 salad is costing you $95. You are sitting there, looking at your little bowl of lettuce, realizing it has just become the most expensive vegetation you have ever consumed. You have just paid an $80 premium to watch another grown man eat a steak. You are effectively acting as an angel investor in your friend's impending hangover. This is the moment of crisis. The tension is thick. The waiter is hovering, holding the little credit card machine. Everyone is reaching for their wallets. What do? Why do we do this? Why do we sit there, feeling our blood pressure spike, sliding our debit card into that little leather book, while our internal monologue screams in protest? It comes down to what I call the weaponization of chill. Nobody wants to be the uncool person. Nobody wants to be the one who stops the flow of the evening, pulls out the calculator app on their phone, turns the brightness all the way up, and starts cross-referencing the itemized receipt like an IRS auditor. There is a massive, invisible social pressure at the dinner table to appear generous, easygoing, and financially unfazed. We are terrified of looking cheap. The people who order the most know this. Now, I'm not saying Kevin is a criminal mastermind. He probably isn't sitting there rubbing his hands together in the shadows, actively plotting to subsidize his bourbon habit through his friends. He's not a supervillain. But on a subconscious level, people who order big in group settings have learned a very convenient truth. The group will almost always absorb the shock of their excess. It's a habit. They know the social friction of questioning the bill is so high that most people will just pay up and complain about it in the car later. When you speak up, when you clear your throat and say, "Actually, guys, I just had the side salad, so I'm just going to pay for mine." What happens? You know exactly what happens. The energy in the room completely shifts. Someone sighs. The waiter looks visibly annoyed because now they have to go back to a computer screen from 1998 and manually separate items. Kevin looks at you like you just announced you don't believe in tipping dogs. Suddenly, you are the problem. You are making it awkward. You are ruining the vibe. But let's stop and reframe that right now. You aren't making it awkward. The math is already awkward. The financial inequity was already sitting right there in the middle of the table. You are just the only person brave enough to acknowledge it out loud. Let's look at the underlying mechanics of what is actually happening here, because it's a fascinating microcosm of human psychology. When we go out to eat in a large group, we are engaging in a temporary socialist utopia, but only at the very end of the meal. During the ordering phase, it's pure, unchecked capitalism. Everyone is consuming based entirely on their own desires, their own cravings, and their own perceived limits. But when the bill comes, suddenly the philosophy flips. Suddenly it's from each according to his ability to each according to his tab. But here is the absolute truth of the universe. The person demanding the equal split is always the one who benefited most from the inequality. Have you ever noticed that? Think back through every dinner you have ever attended. The person who ordered a side salad and a water has never, not once in the history of human civilization, said, "Hey guys, my bill is $9, but let's just split this evenly, 4 ways." It has never happened. The call to split the check evenly is always 100% of the time initiated by the guy with 3 empty martini glasses and a steak bone sitting in front of him. And there's a deeper, more toxic financial resentment that builds up here. It's not just about the money itself. Yes, handing over an extra $70 on a random Tuesday night is painful, but it's really about agency. It's about control. When you budget your life, you are making intentional choices. You are constantly making trade-offs. You are saying no to certain things so you can say yes to others. You chose not to order the steak because maybe you want to put that money toward paying off a credit card, or buying groceries, or fixing the brakes on your car. You made a disciplined choice. When the group forces you to split the check evenly, they are literally overriding your financial boundaries. They are spending your money for you on things you didn't even get to taste. It is taxation without representation, but with a side of garlic mashed potatoes. It is deeply frustrating because it feels like a violation of the rules you set for yourself. So, how do we fix this? How do we stop leaving restaurants feeling completely ripped off, sitting in our cars in the parking lot, silently vowing to only eat alone in our apartments for the rest of our lives? It requires breaking the social script, and to do that successfully, you have to break it early. The fatal mistake we all make is waiting until the check arrives to negotiate the terms of the treaty. By the time that black book hits the table, the trap is already sprung. The food has been eaten. The total has been printed. The momentum of the group is pushing heavily toward a quick, painless resolution so everyone can go home. If you try to dissect the bill at the very end of the meal, you look petty. You look like you're holding up the line. The absolute best defense against the appetizer-only tax is the preemptive strike. When you sit down at the table, before the waiter even takes the drink orders, you strike. You look right at the waiter and you say, "Hi, could I actually get a separate check for myself tonight? Thank you so much." That's it. You say it with a warm smile. You say it confidently. You do not explain yourself. You do not apologize. Notice what you didn't say. You didn't say, "Hey guys, I'm kind of broke right now, so I can't afford to split." You didn't say, "Kevin, I know you're going to order half the farm and a distillery, and I refuse to fund your lifestyle." You just calmly, politely established the financial boundary before a single dollar was spent. What this does to the table dynamic is brilliant. First, it immediately removes you from the blast zone of the communal tab. You are safe. You are financially insulated. But second, it actually subconsciously alters how everyone else orders. When people know the communal safety net is gone, or at least smaller, they tend to order just a little more realistically. Kevin might still get the steak, but he might think twice about the third reserve bourbon when he knows he is solely responsible for the receipt. Now, some of you are listening to this and breaking out in a cold sweat. The mere idea of asking for a separate check in front of your friends makes you want to fake a family emergency, climb out the bathroom window, and run down the alley. I get it. We are deeply, deeply conditioned to avoid social conflict at all costs. But here is the mindset shift you absolutely need to make if you want to protect your money. True friends, people who actually care about you, who respect you and your life, do not want you to go broke just to hang out with them. If you say, "Hey, I'm just going to pay for my own tonight," a real friend says, "Cool, no problem," and goes back to looking at the menu. If someone gets visibly offended that you won't subsidize their massive meal, you need to understand something very clearly. That person isn't looking for a friend. They are looking for a sponsor. They are looking for a crowdfunder to underwrite their weekend lifestyle. Let that sink in for a second. You do not owe anyone a subsidy for their expensive tastes just to maintain the fragile illusion of being a chill person. Your financial stability is more important than someone else's mild, 5-second inconvenience. But let's say you miss the window. Let's say you forget to ask up front. The dinner happens, the massive bill arrives, and someone suggests the dreaded even split. You are cornered. You still have one final out, and it's the beautiful tool of exact justice, Venmo. When Kevin says, "Let's put down 4 cards," you do not pull out your card. You pull out your phone. You say, "Actually, I just had the side salad and a water, so my total with tip is about $15. Put the whole thing on your card so you can get the points, Kevin, and I'll Venmo you my 15 right now." Boom. It is a flawless tactical retreat. You flattered him by giving him the credit card rewards points, making it sound like you're doing him a favor, and you've cleanly and firmly exited the subsidy pool. Checkmate. At the end of the day, managing your money isn't just about looking at spreadsheets or picking index funds or arguing about interest rates. Real, everyday personal finance is about navigating the daily social pressures that slowly, quietly leak cash out of your wallet. It's $20 here. It's $40 there. It adds up over a year. But more importantly, the resentment adds up. The feeling of being taken advantage of adds up. You work hard for your money. You trade hours of your life for it. You have the absolute right to decide what it buys. You have the right to sit at a table, eat a small side salad, drink a glass of tap water, enjoy the company of your friends, and leave that restaurant with your budget perfectly intact. The next time you find yourself staring across a crowded table at a friend devouring a $50 steak they expect you to pay for, remember this: their appetite is not your financial responsibility. Take control of the check before the check takes control of you. If this episode hit a little too close to home, hit subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Drop a comment with the financial nightmare you want us to decode next. I'm your host. Thanks for listening to SketchCents, and we'll catch you next time.